Hello and welcome to Indices, Fractional Powers Part 2, and in this tutorial we are going to go through some model answers. So let's begin with our first question. Number 1. Work out the value of 25 to the power of 3 over 2. 25 to the power of 3 over 2. Now the first thing to notice is that this is a 2-mark question. 1 mark for getting the right answer and 1 mark for showing the workings out. So we have 25 to the power of 3 over 2. Now the formula which applies to this question, well, we know this from our tutorials, it is a to the power of x over y. This equals a to the power of 1 over y, brackets, to the power of x. So we have separated the x over y. Now let's put a circle or a ring around this. This is the formula that we will be using. So let's go through our question. So we have 25 to the power of 3 over 2. So this becomes 25 to the power of a half, brackets, to the power of 3. So we have separated the 3 over 2 to make it easier to work out. Now let's have a look at this 25 to the power of a half. Now we can use another formula for this, where we have a to the power of a half. This simply equals the square root of a. So this is the second formula that we will be using. So this becomes the square root of 25 to the power of 3. Now we know that the square root of 25 is 5. And we still have the power of 3. We don't need the brackets anymore. Now we know from our workings out that 5 times 5 times 5 equals, well, 5 times 5 is 25, and then times 5 is 125. So therefore 5 to the power of 3 is 125. And that is our answer. So 25 to the power of 3 over 2 is 125. And if you show all the workings out and get the correct answer, you will pick up both marks. Now let's move on to our next question. Number 2. Work out the value of 81 to the power of 3/4. 81 to the power of 3/4. And again, the first thing to notice is that this is a 2-mark question. So the formula we're going to use is the same one we used last time. We have a to the power of x over y. That equals a to the power of 1 over y to the power of x. So we have separated the x over y. Now I know I do get tired of saying this, but it's important to write the formulas each time for every question so that you get into the habit of writing this down. So let's have a look at our question. We have 81 to the power of 3/4. So this now becomes 81, using our formula, 81 to the power of 1/4, put the brackets in, to the power of 3. 81 to the power of 1/4 to the power of 3. Now for this part here, we're going to use another formula that we've already learnt. If we have a to the power of 1/4, this simply becomes, we put the root down, a and 4. So again, we're going to circle this to highlight that this is the formula that we're going to be using. So this now becomes 81 to the power of 1/4 becomes 81, put the root sign in, brackets to the power of 3. So this next part here, what number multiplied by itself 4 times gives 81? Now you should know this by now. The answer is 3. Let's double check this. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 equals 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And 27 times 3 is 81. Therefore, we can write down 3. And don't forget, we still have the power of 3. Now 3 to the power of 3 is, we've just worked it out over here, it is 27. So we have worked out our answer. 81 to the power of 3/4 equals 27. And if you show all the workings out, you will get both marks. Now let's move on to our next question. Number 3. Work out the value of 64 to the power of 2/3. 64 to the power of 2/3. Now again, the first thing to notice is that this is a 2-mark question. Therefore, you are required to show your workings out. Now the formula we're going to be using is the same one. A to the power of x over y equals a to the power of 1 over y, brackets to the power of x. Again, let's just highlight this, that this is the formula that we're going to be using. So we have 64 to the power of 2/3. Using our formula, this becomes 64 to the power of 1/3, brackets to the power of 2. So we have separated the 2/3 out. Now we know that 64 to the power of 1/3, we can use another formula for this. And we've gone through all of these in our tutorials. If we have a to the power of 1/3, this equals the cube root of a. A to the power of 1/3 equals a cube root of a. So coming back to our question, 64 to the power of 1/3 becomes 64 cube root, and don't forget the brackets, to the power of 2. Now what number multiplied by itself 3 times gives 64? Now you should know this by now. The answer is 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. So therefore we can write this down. This equals 4, and don't forget, to the power of 2. We're almost there. 4 to the power of 2 is 16. 4 squared is 16. So therefore, to answer the question, what is the value of 64 and 64 to the power of 2/3, this is simply 16. And we have shown all the workings out. So therefore, we can expect to get both marks. Now let's move on to our next question. Number 4. Work out the value of 10,000 to the power of 3/4. 10,000 to the power of 3/4. Now again, this is a 2-mark question. So again, let's write our formula again. A to the power of x over y. This simply becomes a to the power of 1 over y, brackets to the power of x. Now again, the same principles apply, so please do not be frightened by large numbers. So let's go through our question. 10,000, this becomes 10, using our formula, 10,000 to the power of 1/4, brackets to the power of 3. Now this part here, 10,000 to the power of 1/4, we can use a second formula for this. We've already done this once. A to the power of 1/4, this becomes A, the root sign. So which number multiplied by itself 4 times gives the answer? Now we know that to get to 10,000, multiplied by itself again and again 4 times is 10. So we have 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Now we can double check this. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. And 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. Therefore, coming back to our question, we now have 10 to the power of 3. 10 to the power of 3. Now there was an interim step here for our formula which I didn't write down. You can write this down, you don't have to. You can write down here 10 root 4 to the power of 3. So that is now writing down all the steps one by one. So we've now got to 10 to the power of 3. Now we know that 10 to the power of 3 is, we've got it here, we've already done this once, is 1,000. And that is our answer. So come back to the question. 10,000 to the power of 3/4 equals 1,000. And if you show all the workings out, you will get both marks.